talking about ghosts while drawing some ghosts. That's what's going on here. That's what's happening. Yeah. For this little speed paint, I will be talking about ghosts and the headcanons I have developed over my 3 painful long years of being in the hell fandom that is Undertale. And at first, I was like, oh yeah, I can make a speed paint. And then I was like, oh man, but if I explain ghosts, I gotta explain everything about souls in my little universe headcanon thingamajig. And then I realized, no, I don't. There is no, I don't. But, if you're not here for rambling, and you're just here to watch a goddamn speed paint and chill, then this is not the place. If you just wanna, mute the video and turn on some music or something, I guess you could do that. Or you could just, leave. But, anyways, I'm just gonna start with, basically what ghosts are in, I'm just gonna say, my universe. I'm just gonna call it that for now. Ghosts are indeed dead humans in my universe, and they are the result of when someone has enough will to come back, like, oh man, I don't want to die, I don't want to stay dead, but they do not have a determination soul, because in my little world, only determination souls can come back from the dead, from a save point, or as completely themselves, because if everybody could do that, that would be chaotic. Chaos. Nobody would die, and nobody would die, and that's not, no, it's not okay. But, yeah, so it's the result of a soul that is not 100% determination, like let's go with Metaton, and like, oh, I happen to be a confident soul. Oh no, I died, but I don't want to do that. I really don't feel like dying. Whoopsie, now I'm a ghost. I just had this stark and painful realization that, yes, I may have to explain how souls work a little bit. So, when you die, your soul just kind of unravels, is that good? Does that make sense? Basically your soul has like a membrane around it that's like tying everything together in a neat little ribbon, so everything that makes you just doesn't float away. And when you die, that just disappears, and when your soul like breaks in half and scatters everywhere, it just kind of dissipates into the air, and yeah, you're dead. Whoopsie, you died. But if you have a will to live, but not enough determination to continue on, that your soul doesn't reobtain that kind of membrane that's keeping everything together. It just it's just a bunch of particles and magic and like sultry and the little bits of determination just trying desperately to stay together even though they're not supposed to be that way anymore. And that is a ghost, that is a ghost, just soul particles desperately trying to keep themselves together and still alive. That's what that is. And yeah, and then there's how like ghosts, and yeah, that's what a ghost is. But then there's like the more I think what's a little more interesting, but not really. The more interesting part being how ghosts still function and how they act and what things are changed because they are ghosts. And I'm gonna start out with I've lost my train of thought. I should probably start out with their physical appearance and why they don't look like humans and why they're just kind of literal marshmallows. The reason that they are that way is because the soul and all of the parts of the soul are trying so desperately and so hard to keep themselves whole and together, so your entire being doesn't just dissipate into the air, that you don't really have time to project forward a accurate image of yourself. And so it just portrays the easiest form it can, that being what you see being a cliche kind of ghost form. And yeah, that's why they're drawn like that in my little universe, because that's why they all look really similar despite small changes, and why they don't look human, though they don't look like humans, they still do function exactly like humans, not in the sense of they eat and breathe and drink, but in the sense of movement and touching things. So from anybody else's perspective, and from literally everybody else's perspective, it's just kind of like, oh, something floated next to the ghost, they picked it up, but they didn't really grab it with their hand. But actually, they did. You just cannot see their hand because the image that you're seeing is not their hand. And they and they'll look in the mirror, or they'll look at themselves, and will see that form of a ghost, that of that simple form, but they if they they can feel their face, and they can feel their hands, and they can feel their legs, which is kind of which is why a lot of ghosts feel such a strong need to become corporeal more than others, because, and now that's a pretty good segue, because the main reason why a lot of people or ghosts wish to become corporeal is because of the more emotional part of it, which is kind of the same reason why ghosts look so simple. They also, because they're trying, again, their souls are trying so hard to keep together, they also kind of catch on things a little slower. Like, you'll be like, hey, and a ghost will stare at you for 3 seconds and then go, oh, hey. Like everything's a little bit delayed, and your soul is a lot harder to keep together if you don't like being a ghost or continuing to be alive. It becomes extremely difficult to keep yourself together, and things become progressively more incoherent, and so it's really important when you are a ghost to be grateful that you are still continuing to live past what you were supposed to, because if you aren't, you might just literally disappear. And not your physical, not like your visual form, but I mean your literal soul will dissipate into the air as it was supposed to when you first died. And but speaking of visual form disappearing, when a ghost is overwhelmed or having extreme emotions, that's why they will sometimes disappear, because yes, it is very difficult to keep your form together when you're in that emotional state. So instead of focusing on being actually visually there and having people see you, the soul focuses on keeping itself together instead, which is why ghosts will disappear in times of stress. Yeah. Yeah. So the longer someone is incorporeal, the harder it can be to keep yourself together unless you're very content with being a ghost, which doesn't come around very often because it's not very fun to be a ghost. It's not very fun to have everything be delayed like 3 seconds, and it's also not very fun to constantly feel like you're trying to keep yourself together, and it's also just not, it's not fun, you know? But I do happen to headcanon that Napstablook is one of the few ghosts who is completely fine with being a ghost and completely content with themselves, which is why it is a little more difficult for them to understand why Mad Mew and Mettaton wanted to obtain bodies and become corporeal, because they didn't really see the appeal. It was like, oh yeah, everything's pretty chill. I mean, I'm pretty heckin' sad, but it's not because I'm a ghost or anything. So, and while Mettaton and Mad Dummy or Mad Mew or, you know, what's your name? Please just give us a name. Anyway, while they are very adamant about wanting to become corporeal, because feeling like you're, like, not feeling like yourself for that long, for that long, can be quite pretty, I'd imagine, can be pretty draining. Like, yeah. And for Mettaton, I do headcanon that his being taken seriously and the way he looks is very important to him, and because literally everyone sees a ghost as the form they do, I'd imagine that not too many people would take that form seriously, though monsters will probably, because there are plenty of
different types of monsters that look probably much more goofy than a ghost. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that. I do imagine that more humanoid monsters, or humans in general, would not be able to take them as seriously, and by extension not be able to take Mettaton as seriously, and that probably is not fun for him. Yeah. Man, I'm going on for long. I am very passionate about this subject. If you want to hear more, I'd appreciate if you wanted to hear more about this stuff. I also, in my brain hole, have, like, everything on human souls in general, and monster souls, and how magic works. Though, if I were to go in depth with that, I should probably make, like, visuals besides just having a speed paint in the background and having me talk over it. Though I am really bad with commitment, and, working on big projects for too long is, it doesn't really ever turn out well. If I start a project, I hardly ever, like, finish it. I don't like staying on one subject for too long, which is why speed paints are good. But, yeah, if you want more, comment, or just, I don't know. I don't know. Just, if you want more, just, cool. Let me know that you want more of this. Don't know why you'd want more, but I'm very, 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 very happy if you want more. Anywho, I'll see you in the next speed paint, or terrible Tumblr post, or whatever. Anywho, farewell, have a good night, have a good day, have a good afternoon, have a good life, have a good afterlife. So long.